So I will show you a website for 5 seconds and then ask you a few questions. Are you ready? So what do you think, what was this website about? And did this website look professional to you? And just by seeing it for 5 seconds, did you feel like it's trustworthy? Well, personally, I think you have to admit it does look professional, and to some extent it's trustworthy. And that's the thing, it takes only 50 milliseconds for people to make a first impression, and this opinion will determine if the person will stay or leave your site. And in this video, I'm revealing 7 easy to implement tips to transform your business website from unprofessional to polished and trustworthy, because with a great website, you'll attract more customers. And by the way, I'm Robert, and if you need trustworthy help with your WordPress website, check out the services we offer. It's the first link in the description. So for the first tip, let's start with the basics. Look at this website. What do you think is the most important message they are trying to convey here? It's pretty hard to see, right? Well, let me add a bit of magic. What about now? Do you see how this transformed everything? It's even easier to read now. So what did I do here? Can you guess? Can you see what I did? Well, all I did is I made the important elements bigger and brighter, and obviously brighter within your color palette. For example, buttons such as calls to action should have a high contrast to background color. If you have dark background color, use one with the lighter colors, obviously, yeah? That the contrast is the important thing about it. And for fonts, this also means that your header 2 should be bigger or bolder than the header 3, because this creates visual hierarchy, and that's the first tip. Use visual hierarchy to indicate the importance of each element. All of these changes will make your site look more professional and easier to read. Okay, that one might have been really obvious, but the next tip can turn any website into a sales machine as long as it's done right way. So imagine you standing in front of 2 coffee shops. The one on the left has barely any customers, but it looks good from outside. The one on the right has about the same amount of customers as the first one, and it looks cozy as well. And you're there just scratching your head, trying to decide which one to take. But then by accident, you overhear one of the customers who were just leaving from the shop on the right saying, "Hey, the cappuccino was just out of this world. I loved it." Which coffee shop would you choose in this case? Well, probably the one on the right, because you just heard another customer praising it. The same thing applies to your website. Make sure you have your reviews or testimonials sprinkled everywhere on the site. And that's the second tip. Use testimonials or customer reviews to boost your trustworthiness. Here are a few great examples. For example, Ed from Film Booth is a great example. He's a YouTuber and he has the system to help you grow on YouTube. And the way he does it here, he starts immediately with a quote from a peer. This is another YouTuber saying good stuff about his service. Then you have here some pictures of results, and also testimonial here in video format. We also have here just text format like this. Hey, this is what we achieved for this guy. And just these comments from other people. You can see this page just is full of testimonials, and it just boosts the credibility so much. But I get it. Maybe you're not selling a online course or anything like that, but you can also do it in a simpler way. So for example, on this plumber website, you see here they have at the top that, hey, they're top rated. And then if you scroll through their homepage, you'll notice here at the bottom, they also have like, hey, here's our what our customers say about us. And what they could do on top of this is pick few of these reviews and then place them, for example, a review about their heating service. Place that separately just in there. But if you see testimonials that are specifically for that service, it just gives you a nice feeling that, hey, these guys know what they're doing. The next step is also about trustworthiness. Imagine you go to a physical store, let's say it's a night shop, and then this guy is behind the counter. Hey, how can I help you? I bet you wouldn't trust buying anything from that store unless it's a ski mask shop. But even then, it just raises so many alarms in our brains. Online, it's the same thing. We just pay attention to different things. One of the signals that you can be trusted is that you have pictures of yourself or your team on the website. And that's the third tip. Show yourself on your website. Your images could be placed around the website here and there, maybe in the footer or at least in About Us page. And also, if possible, leave some contact details. Just a way for people to reach out to you. That just makes it the site look much more legit and trustworthy. And better yet, if you can add a phone number somewhere prominent like the navigation bar or homepage, that just gives it extra touch. Most people won't call you, but it does indicate that you're a real person or a business because you have a number so prominently displayed. This works the best for smaller companies, or if you're a contractor or something, this is perfect for you because that way you can also speak to potential customers. There are so many dodgy websites out there, and usually they don't have any real people on the site, nor they have any contact details except some random email address. On top of that, they just use stock photos, which are easy to tell apart from actual real photos of you. And it's super nice when, you see somebody on the website and then you actually meet them and it's the same person. You're like, you're actually the owner of this whole business or whatever is your function in the company. I find it much more relatable that way. The fourth tip is super simple, but most people overthink it and end up with a website that looks unprofessional. So if you visit Apple's website, what is the feeling you get? What do you see here? Well, obviously you have the products, some images and so on, but notice how there is so much space around the elements. And this has an effect on the products because they really stand out even more because you surround them with nothing, just with empty space. So that's the fourth tip. Add white space between different sections and elements and use big enough fonts, bigger than you think is acceptable. For example, let's take a look at the website from the beginning of this video. They do this really well. So if we take a look at this website, you can see the title, the text is huge. It's very clear, the buttons are quite big and very visible. And then if you look between sections, you have quite a lot of space, white space here and here as well. There's enough space for everything to breathe. Look at this, also space. That is the modern way to design websites. You have a lot of things around your main content. This way, people can focus on one or two things at a time. The next tip takes discipline to pull off, especially if multiple people work on the same website. But it's so worth spending time on it because without it, you will miss that final touch, the cherry on the cake, the finesse on the website. Let me show you an example. So for example, this website, first of all, it looks fine and it looks quite professional, but then there's small things you start noticing. Wait, this font is actually slightly different font than what we have here. Also, the button here is green, but here we have with white, and later on we also have it in blue. If you look at these images, they kind of have all different style. Look at it. This one doesn't even align with these two. Also, it has just this cartoonish look, whereas this one is industrial, and this is just black and white. And look at this. This font is different, so it's just slightly off. And here we should have blue background, but actually it's green. So these are the things that start to add up, and it just doesn't look like some professional did it. And that's the fifth tip. Keep a consistent brand identity across your website and overall online. That includes images, but also fonts, colors, and tone of voice. Nothing screams more amateur than inconsistent font sizes or images with totally different styles. This is also for many people that have a bit of a OCD, it's too annoying. This means you should just pick one or two fonts, primary color, a support color, and always use them in the same way. And for the color scheme, just select one or two colors that you use consistently across the website. That's it. Don't overdo it. For example, here in cxl.com, they just use the red color to highlight the most important elements such as main buttons and links. The rest is black and white. And hey, if you don't know what to do, you can always cheat by checking what medium.com or some other bigger blog websites are doing. They have optimized their website for readability. So just look what type of fonts they're using, the sizes, the colors, and so on. Okay, I feel like the most people are afraid of doing the next step, but it's such a great way to show who you are as a brand and connect with your potential customers. Here are a few examples. When you look at this website, what comes to your mind? Okay, what about this one? What do you think? To me, the first thought was, wow, they look so different. They actually have a bit of personality. Now, I don't agree with all the design choices they've done, but I do appreciate them doing something different, something that is not just directly from a template. And that's the sixth tip. Don't hesitate to add your personality to the website. I know this one is tough, but if you get this right, you will not only look professional, but you can set yourself apart from competition. I'm afraid that with all the WordPress templates and best practices online, most websites look the same, very standard stuff. And by the way, you don't need to go and reinvent the wheel, but you need to try to avoid kind of a Me Too approach as much as possible. And there needs to be a way for people to distinguish your website from competition. And it can be small things. You can add your own touches through design, images, drawings, or tone of voice. But for example, if you are a great doodler, you could create doodles for your website and spread them all over your articles or your pages. Obviously, it would be good that they're somehow related to what you're talking about, but that's up to you, obviously. You can also use a different tone of voice, humor, writing style, image filters, whatever you feel most comfortable with and what makes sense for your industry. Okay, the last tip is to get your color palette just right. Personally, I used to think choosing colors is too hard for a non-designer like me, but there are so many tools that will help you find your colors even without any design experience. And in this video right here, I'll show you my top tips and tools that will help you to choose your color palette in about 10 minutes.